breaking it down in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Intro. Hey, you have made it back to another super duper edition of the Big House Breakdown, all things Michigan football and college football for that matter. I'm your host, Vic, and we're gonna do another one, and we on fire tonight because we got guests, and they're gonna come on and tell us what they think, and they're gonna break it down, everything related to the Big House. Let's go. I'm your host, Vic. What up? How y'all doing out there? We're blasting off to 10 social media sites, 5 Facebook sites, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, as the young kids say it, Instagram. And we're blasting off to Mob Crush, Trovo Nation, D Live. We got it live right here. Keep it locked on the Big House Breakdown. And we got a guest. Everybody say what's up to my man Adam from the Michigan Football Rant. What's going on, Adam?
Hey, nothing much, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. You and the Michigan Football Rant, we talked a little bit before, or you're from the Michigan Football Rant. We talked a little bit before the show started.
Yeah.
And you were telling me a little bit about, yourself and your show. You want to tell the viewers a little bit about your show? Give it a good plug. I got to get my glasses on before I'm blind and I start knocking over instruments here in the studio.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
While I grab my glasses, you tell folks a little bit about your show, and let's get it popping.
All right. Hey, so I would say my show is for the absolute fan. I mean, if you're crazy, if you don't care to take off the maize-colored glasses, if you just like having a beer with a knowledgeable football fan, like the guy who lives and dies Michigan football, that's me. Like my reaction episodes, if I've been drinking, you get a little bit wild, you get a little bit more of a wild episode. I try to bring as much insight that I could possibly bring and keep it funnier and fun. It's a good time. And I like the idea of we're just sitting at a bar and we're talking and having a good time. And that's kind of the vibe that I get, and some of the fans have come back and said that's kind of how it makes them feel.
Now, is this a podcast or are you on the social media streets? How do you broadcast?
So we're on all podcasts. Anywhere you can pretty much find a podcast, I'm on it. Mainly through Spotify and Apple Podcasts are the two that I really like to promote. My reaction episodes, I've started doing video, putting them on YouTube. So you get the reaction episodes there. And then video also on Spotify. Then all social media like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook fan page, all that stuff. I'm all right there.
Cool. Very, very cool. If Adam can correct me if I'm mistaken, but we agreed to do like a mashup, smash up sort of thing. Like, so he'll be on my show, and hopefully I'll get the invite to be on his show.
Oh, absolutely.
We'll chop it up about all things Michigan football. Are you into Michigan recruiting like I am? I'm kind of a nut for it.
Well, here's the thing. I'm not really, only because, I mean, I just don't trust young kids. You know what I mean? Like, to follow them and to be like, oh, they're coming, this, that, and the other. And then all of a sudden, they decide on the whim, and especially now with NIL, that it can just turn on a dime. I'll leave it to when they actually commit and they are a Michigan player, because I don't want to fall in love with a great player like Najee Harris. Like I was like, that's the dude. He's going to be exactly what we're looking for.
Xavier Worthy kid that went on.
Another one.
Yeah, he was another big one, big loss.
Oh, hey,
yeah. That seems to be the story. That seems to be the story for Michigan football in 2023 class, 2024 class, I should say.
Yeah,
it seems to be the story.
For sure.
And with the NIL stuff and Michigan not really going full steam, giving people the bag, everybody's kind of second guessing and third guessing whether they should come. But Michigan constantly puts people in the pros that have great careers. And
well, I mean, that's one thing I don't understand. Those two twin brothers that just flipped from
Yeah.
Michigan to Kentucky.
Yeah.
I mean, I know they live in Kentucky. I get it. So close to the family, but it's SEC. So I'm sure they got plenty of money to switch. But how many pros come out of Kentucky? I mean, I know they're trying to change it, but man, if I'm going to just go off of pure getting into the NFL, man, Michigan's the way to go.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially if you're a defensive lineman. I mean,
oh my God,
you know, Mo Hurst and now Mozzie and all of the defensive ends, Taco Charlton, and I mean, it just goes on and on and on with the amount of pros, Peppers, and all the people we put to pros.
Mo Hurst was my dude, man. I love that guy.
Yeah, and Jordan Lewis, the corner. I don't know if he's playing for the Cowboys or not, but he was a whole problem at Michigan. He had some outstanding plays at DB. He was out of control.
Yeah.
So why other kids would go, and then you have Harbaugh with all of the NFL connections. So why would you go somewhere else with some? They're promising these kids the bag. It gotta be.
It has to be, man. I don't understand any. Yeah, I just don't get it. I mean, we lose Xavier Worthy, which I think that hurt twice. That hurt like twofold, basically, because we lost him, and then we lost his mom. I mean, man, I don't blame Josh Gaddis for trying to put a pass on that girl. She is, as advertised, that's a good-looking woman right there. So, man, we really lost out.
Yeah. You know, I mean, that's telling the truth. But so as we move on, man, I'm looking forward to doing your show. I'm glad you're on. I'm glad you're on right now. And I usually run the intro twice, but in the interest of saving time, let's get right into game reviews. Let's get right into game reviews on the Big House Breakdown, and we're going to talk about the Mistake Bowl. The Mistake Bowl 2023. Yeah, that's what I'm deeming it. That's what I'm titling it. I got copyright on that. Knock it off. So, what? Before I get started on the whole, because I'm a teacher, and a coach, and I can wax poetic. You tell me your interpretation of and your purview of the Mistake Bowl.
Right.
And as you see, I got a little moniker there. So you tell me what you think about it. Go ahead.
I don't know. You know, they seemed. I put out an episode trying to defend this a little bit. I think that there was some outside interference. I think, I don't think these kids. One, I think they're bored. I think these guys are just. It's not. They're not into it right now. They're not focused. They don't have Harbaugh. They've had 4 different coaches throwing all sorts of different schemes at them, or not even schemes, but their own personal view of how a team should be run. So that's not good for young men at all when it comes to trying to get a clear vision of what's going on. And I'll be honest, these dudes now are making money. Even though it's not like SEC money, but still, man, if like JJ's making $1.2 million or something like that, or has got a deal out there for that. It's hard. I mean, I know when I started making more than my dad and all that, it was hard for me to concentrate. I got a little big for my own head. So even think like now 10 times what your family has ever made, and now you're still in college. Like, are you going to be focused on Bowling Green? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it wasn't like we were ever really going to lose a game, but we definitely looked like crap. I mean, I just think there was a lot of things that led up to that other than us just playing bad, and I think that's what caused it.
Yeah, and to be fair, I thought the focus was, I thought the Keystone Cops, or the
that's old school.
The Three Stooges of it all was mainly on the offensive side of the ball. I didn't really, I didn't like what our tackles were doing. They looked goofy. They kept JJ running around, and once you get hot pants in the pocket, the whole night turns into this helter skelter thing instead of you relying on your footwork and your fundamentals and he spent the whole off season like training with this big coach, quarterback guru, and the first 2 games showed it. He came in flame throwing. Oh, you like, whoa. We looking at Peyton Manning here. Who is this we looking at?
Right.
It was lights out. And then the 3rd game came, and it's Michigan under the new scoreboard with the lights and the girls and the it's in college.
Right. So I'm curious. Do you think though that Sherrone Moore had too much on his plate though? Like he was doing the offensive line, head coaching, and play calling. I mean, because with Jesse Mentor, the first game didn't even bother with it, just had Kirk Campbell call the plays, and look how smooth and crisp everything went. Was it just the fact that Sherrone had too much going on to focus really on the importance of calling plays, just because he had so much that he was responsible for?
Well, I tell you what, him and Mike Hart are going to be plucked at some point.
Oh, for sure.
To be the coach of some FCS or FBS school out there, and they're going to get the bag to do it because of Michigan's success. So I do think that might have been the case, and the little fundies weren't paid attention to. And
you know what I mean? Because especially if all this attention. Well, like I was just saying, the kids have a lot of attention, but Sherrone Moore has a lot of attention on him too. I mean, all last season they had talked about maybe him leaving. Now and I would be shocked if Sherrone Moore ever left Michigan for Michigan State. But, they're throwing his name out for that. So did he feel the pressure of, oh, this is my chance. I got to show everybody I can do this. And then just having so much, it just kind of all fell in on it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if it all fell in. And I think, and that's why I phrase the question. Was the mistake bowl a good thing? I think it was a great thing.
Absolutely.
I think it was a great thing. I don't think it all fell in on him. I think uncharacteristic Michigan-like things happened that you don't usually see from Michigan teams, coached by Bo or or Harbaugh. You don't really see that because the fundies are, if you're playing tight end, your feet better be here, and you know what I mean. You block inside, and you know what I'm saying? You better, full stop before you snap the ball. And the fundies are like on deck all the time.
Right.
I think it was a matter of, I think it was week 3 of no guidance on the field, young kids. Harbaugh is the top dog. If the top dog ain't around, eventually you're going to get attrition. Eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually things are going to start leaking, and you're going to start getting a little, but like I call him on my show, Coach Super Khakis, he's back on the sideline this week.
Yeah. I'm glad he's back.
I'm glad he's back too. I am too. Because a lot of those kids would run through a brick wall for that guy because he's so personable.
They love it, man. You can hear it in their voice when they talk about him. Yeah.
And when your motivator isn't there, that's a totally different scenario. Like this dude goes into people's houses and washes dishes with their mom, and he climbs trees to get Hawaiian recruits, and like, dude, like, I don't know if he's a snake oil salesman or he's the most good-hearted person. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't know, but from what I can see, he generally cares about them kids.
Yeah.
He wants them to reach their fullest potential. And, I think without somebody there who actually does that, and of course his pedigree, NFL, captain comeback.
Oh my God, yeah.
When you it's almost like you looking up at your idol. It's like, so you want me to run that fast in that
direction? It's kind of like when you have a really high quality football player who now is a coach, like Prime. You get, when that man talks, you really have to listen because he's a Hall of Famer at what he did.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So it gives you something to strive for. It gives you, because you're looking at a day that you're looking day in, day out of a man who's done it, everything that you want to do. So how could you question it? You know what I mean? Like, just take his advice and do as much as replicate it as best you can.
Right. So Captain Super Khakis, he's back on the sideline.
Yep.
I like that. And it couldn't come at a better time because what I'll get into later is the the matchup between Shiano and Harbaugh as NFL minds.
Oh yeah.
And it's not that many college coaches that can say they got that sort of schematics when it comes to putting it on the field. So that's always a chess match. But let's get into it, man. Let's get into the review of the last game. So you got JJ McCarthy in the Mistake Bowl. Of course, everybody's going crazy about the 3 interceptions, but he also had 2 touchdowns. So we can't discount that. He wasn't boo-boo, but it was about to smell like that. And then
it was close.
It was close. And then Corum had 100 yards, 2 touchdowns. He's like a bull in a china shop. He's going crazy. And then CJ had a touchdown, and so did Roman Wilson. Also had a touchdown. And I think the offense had some ebb and flow to it. And I think also based on what you said, I think the kids took Bowling Green a little bit for granted because they knew on the line of scrimmage they really couldn't do anything with us. And then offensive defensive line. But the skill positions for Bowling Green, they came to play, especially the DBs. I thought the Bowling Green DBs were there to play. They showed up. They showed up. They threw their sandwich, in the garbage, and they were like, we're here. And like I always say, I might even say this in my hot take. All these kids that do 7-on-7s, because both my sons did the 7-on-7 circuits with, the passing athletic circuits where you get recruited and all of that. All these kids in the same 7-on-7 circuits.
Right.
They're all playing each other. If you're from Florida, or you're from Michigan, or you're from Chicago, or you're from Cali, you play the same kids. You're in the same circuit. So just because one kid goes to Michigan and another kid winds up in Penn State, another kid winds up in Miami, doesn't mean they hadn't seen each other as teenagers.
Oh, yeah, right.
And the skill sets are very, very similar.
And that transfer portal is now leveling. It's creating parity where it really wasn't before.
Yeah, man.
You can get a good kid from, say, even a mid-level, like, say, a Purdue. He's not getting the time he wants. He goes to Bowling Green, or for lack of a better example, and now he's a starter and he's showing out. The portal has really helped level, or at least level up the smaller schools to compete with some of the big ones.
Yes, sir. So last word on the game review of the Mistake Bowl. Last word. You got it.
All right. Last word is thank God it's over. I'm ready. I'm ready for Big Ten play. I'm ready for Harbaugh to be back. I'm ready just to get this thing moving, man. Just like preseason in the NFL. I'm tired of watching that. I was ready for the beginning of the season.
Now, imagine if this was like a big time team. Imagine if this was a actually conference opponent, or like a team that was out of conference, but they had a little name behind them.
Right.
Let's say like maybe it was an Oklahoma, or a what do you call that? What's a ACC team?
Oh, like Clemson?
Yeah, like a Clemson.
Yeah.
This could have been the beginning of a spiral, but I'm glad we, still sharp and steel, and I'm glad we got a chance to. The steel is back this week. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
I would
think if we were going to lose like say we had like we do next year with Texas, right? Mm-hmm. I think that's why they decided to send Harbaugh on his 3-game vacation this year, because we had those 3 bad teams. Because you don't want Harbaugh, if he'll even be here next year, we'll see what happens. But you don't want him to be suspended while it's Texas week. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably a part of the reason why they made him do it now.
Yes, sir, man. And listen, you guys are listening to the throne of Big Ten college football, most wins in college football history. Big House Breakdown. talking about all things Michigan Wolverines. And we got Adam, host of the Michigan Football Rant with us, getting that chop up done right now for the Big House Breakdown. But now let's get into the game previews, which is Rutgers, right?
Yeah.
And I got a little chart. You know, I'm always on my charts. That's the teacher in me. That's the nerd in me.
I got
So
you.
my charts popping. And we got our Rutgers game preview. So you got the quarterback Wimstat. You got Manungai or Manungi, however you want to say it.
Yeah, I don't know that.
I haven't checked the pronunciation. You got Brown. You got the receiver Washington. The receiver Dramel. You got Strong. You got Dixon. Strong, Dixon, and Longer Beamer on defense. Those are the impact players. Don't bite my ninja stars. Stars are stars because they're stars and they're impact players, and stars are also weapons in the game of football. So for Michigan, we got the usual cast of characters with an exception. You got McCarthy, Corum, Edwards, Wilson, Grant, Sanderstill, Jenkins, and Keon Sabb as of late. Coming in for the injured Rob Moore. He's coming on making some plays, man. Let's talk about each particular matchup. There's no category outside of special teams that Michigan categorically isn't better than Rutgers. But Rutgers is extremely well head coached, and they offer a fight because they know if they, let me just get your opinion on this. I have something else I want to contribute, but let me get your opinion on this Rutgers squad.
Dude, the best way I can describe them is that, have you ever been at a bar, you had a friend, it's kind of like that thick neck dude. He's not as big as everybody, but in a scrap, you're going to have to bring your lunch because if not, he's going to take you out.
Right.
That's Rutgers. They're not scared of us. They haven't been scared of us for at least 3 to 4 years now. Schiano ain't scared of nobody. As a matter of fact, he's kind of like a bigger version of Harbaugh because he used to do all that weird stuff in the NFL, try to go for it, knock the player over in the fourth down when they're going victory huddle. He loves to be an annoyance to people, a lot like Harbaugh does. So he's not going to be scared of nothing that we do. He gets his teams ready to play. Now they're not recruiting on a high enough level to be like a power yet in the Big Ten, but they recruit well enough to take a few of them out if they ain't coming to play that game.
Yeah, I had a couple of my kids that I coach wound up playing for Rutgers.
Okay.
Yeah, Quentin Gauze, he was on the Ray Rice team.
Ray Rice. Ooh.
Yeah, he was on that Ray Rice team. They made some noise that year. They did.
Yes, they did. Yes, they did. That was a good Rutgers team.
So I met him personally. I took a bus full of my Bishop Kearney football team all the way out there to Rutgers to see a game. It was nice. We got to tour the locker room. Cool dude. He didn't spend more than 5 minutes with us, but he was all right. He was all right. But he knows his X's and O's, at least defensively.
Oh,
he knows his X's and O's, and he knows how to run a football team. And he has a pedigree of football behind him, so he's nobody's dummy on the field. And he runs his own show the way he wants to run it. He's gonna. And what I was trying to say earlier was he has a pro football acumen, so he applies that to his defensive schemes. So I think that's why he kind of gets into the craw of a lot of college football coaches because he doesn't have a conventional defense. He'll throw a lot of different things, a lot of exotic looks at you, and then you got to deal. You know what I mean? You gotta adjust. You know what I mean?
Yeah, man, I respect it.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna put the chart back up, and you tell me what you think of position per position. What do you think? I don't think they're better than. I think Michigan is better than them in every position. What's your thought?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, just a quick overview. I mean, like quarterback, what are we talking about? Wimstat's gotten better, but I mean, I think they said he's improved his completion percentage to 51%. I mean, if you're throwing 51% in college football or even Little League football, that ain't great.
No.
I mean, running backs, this kid's good, but I don't even know if his own mother's heard of him on this team. And we have arguably the two best running backs in the Big Ten,
Right.
Wide receivers, I'll be honest, man. When your quarterback last game's throwing 46 yards a game, or not a game, but in that last game, how great are your wide receivers? Because as we all know, you could have the best wide receiver in the game. If your quarterback ain't on, that's a very dependent position. You ain't going to show out. I mean, look at Marvin Harrison Jr. in that first week with McCord trying to figure shit out. He got 2 catches for 18 yards.
Right.
You know?
Right. That speaks volumes for our matchup with them a little later on in the year.
Oh, for sure. And then O-line, I mean, 2-time award winner. I know that the line isn't looking fantastic yet, but I mean, we've been blessed to have kind of shakeups, or not even shakeups. Guys just leave for the NFL, and we inserted some people last season, and we didn't miss a beat. So I kind of expected maybe something, but we're starting to look good. I think with Henderson now at the tackle, and you're moving Barnhart back over to right tackle, I think that looked better than when Miles Hinton was over there.
Yeah,
but still,
they needed to shore that up, and I think that was the right move to make.
Oh, me too. Yeah, I just think the kid, it looks to be good right now. Now, I guess we'll see in our first Big Ten play, but wide receivers still, I think we're great there. Linebackers, come on. I think now with what's his fate? Its name, Ernest Hausman. My bad. He unbelievable. That kid's aggressive, smart, fast. I love pretty much everything he's done so far. Colson, I mean, no need to even say the kid's great. You got, like you said, Agent Zero with the DBs. I'm curious to see what Will Johnson will do. You know,
hey, Sanders still is going to make some money in NFL.
Oh, for sure. The smartest move that he and the Wolverines ever made was getting him to switch over.
Yes, and I still think he could spend some time at offense.
Oh, I mean, why not? You know what I mean? Let's use him up as much as we can.
If we ever went 4 wide receivers, what is 4 wide receivers? What is that? Does Michigan run 4 wide receivers?
Yeah, I don't.
Is that a thing for the universe?
I think maybe back in the Rich Rod days, but I don't know if I've ever seen it Harbaugh style.
Oh my gosh! But yeah, man. So I think that's great. But now let's check out a little footage of of Rutgers and Michigan, a little Rutgers Michigan preview, if you will.
Sure.
And then you could just give me your opinion as we go.
Okay.
So that's Wimsatt throwing to, I guess, a little fullback or a little back out of the backfield.
Yeah. See here, that's what I'm worried about right there. It's that RPO and him running up the middle. That's the one thing that I worry about, because Michigan traditionally has a hard time with a mobile quarterback and they moving up the middle, because they're going to be worried about the edges because of what this kid's doing right here.
Now that's Monungai.
Yeah, dude.
Running that kind of off tackle zone play. But I think Harrell holds the line pretty well. I think I don't think at the point of attack, I think we're going to be okay with that.
Right. Yeah. I love Harrell. I just worry. I just hope the rest of them do the same. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want them getting too aggressive. Just edge contain is huge this week.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I get a little worried though, because I heard that Mason Graham's not playing. So
really, I didn't hear that. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So that gets me a little worried, because that kid, dude, I've seen Mason Graham take on a triple team. You know what I mean? But I do like Benny. I think this is the time for Benny to step up.
Rayshon Benny, yeah.
Oh, dude, that kid has so much talent. I'm really excited to see if he can pull it all together this week. If he can, we could have one of the all-time great Michigan defenses probably ever.
Now, there's another defensive lineman on Michigan. I'm trying to get his name right now. Give me a sec. Cam Goody.
Oh, dude, Cam Goody
had a hell of a game last week.
He's a big boy,
and
too.
Right. So I think that those things show out on the film,
Right.
and for people like Harbaugh and Jesse Minter, they reward stuff like that, especially if you need to, give somebody a
Right.
spell for a week. You can do it because you have people like. But let's get back to the vid.
Okay. See, the one thing that we have to be careful of is Rutgers. They are aggressive. They're very opportunistic when it comes to the defensive corners. That's one thing I'm curious about when it comes to JJ and them. Are they going to try and be overly aggressive because they saw him throw 3 picks last week, and then JJ can take advantage, or do they fluster him? Does he make the same mistakes again? You know what I mean? It's going to be an interesting matchup, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Schiano knows how to hunt for those DBs out of the New Jersey, Philadelphia area, New York area for that matter. And, he'll turn like a what do you call that? He'll turn like a undersized linebacker into a safety.
Oh, okay. Yo, those are, hey, listen.
And then play him out of safety. And then he'll just light you up. Or he'll get those really, really gifted corners those track runners and the natural speed guys on the edge, So, it's going to be an interesting matchup, man. And he'll throw some interesting defensive combinations at you to kind of stir you out of your base sets. But let's continue. So now we're looking at a little bit of the defense Rutgers has to offer. They're scrappy.
Yeah, they are scrappy for sure. And they hit. They're not afraid to plant their feet and lay one into you. See, that's the thing with this defensive line. They don't look overly menacing, but you give them enough time, and they will make your day worse. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. So while we're watching, Michigan is about 60th in total offense. Rutgers is 95th total offense, total defense. Michigan is second. Rutgers is 20th.
Yeah.
Rutgers won the last 3 of their games playing against Northwestern, Temple, and Virginia Tech by wide margins, might I add. So, they're not afraid to try to run the score up on you and, create some separation. Third down, Michigan and Rutgers are right around the same percentage rate as converting third downs. But the interesting thing about Rutgers, and I don't know what this is, they are not a productive third quarter team. And I don't know why that is. Defensively, offensively, they just don't do it. But then the fourth quarter, they like to turn it on.
That's weird.
Yeah, now you can't wait to win the game. You can't win the game twice, as they say.
True.
That's JJ doing something. This JJ magic. There's Blake getting it in, cutting against the grain like he likes to do.
I love watching that kid run, man.
Yeah, man. He's got vision for days.
Yeah.
Why do you think that Rutgers is a bad third quarter team statistically this season?
I would say probably because they're probably not the other team figures out what they're doing for the first half. And I think what Rutgers is probably better at doing is playing on the fly. You know what I mean? Like they're probably not the greatest at setting up and strategizing right off the bat. Like, because I think beginning of the third, the team's like, okay, they do this, this, and this. They go out and they stop them, and they're like, oh, all right, so let's do this, and they adjust better than they do setting up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That might be about it. I don't know though.
What did you think of the Chris Jenkins interception?
Dude, I loved it. Loved it, man. For me on defense, I love defensive line play. I love it. Like Alan Branch, Gabe Watson, Mo Hurst, like we talked about before the show started. Guys like that, dude, I just love it. Love it. Love watching a big man just sidestep, take on swim moves, taking on two.
Drop a like, comment down below, and subscribe for more if you are new around here.
Oh,
All right, sorry about that.
dude,
Yeah,
love
that came courtesy of Big Ten Network.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I just love it. That's one of my things I always watch is the defensive line because, in my opinion, well, I mean, it's not like it's it's groundbreaking opinion or anything, but you win and lose in the trenches right there. I mean, if your defensive line can dominate that front five, it's over. Like, it doesn't matter how good that running game is. It doesn't matter how special your quarterback is. If he can't think, if he can't focus, he can't set his feet, it's over. And the best way and the fastest way you can get a defense, like pressure on the quarterback, is right up the middle. I mean, Tom Brady can't handle it. Peyton Manning couldn't handle it. I mean, pressure in the middle in your face is paramount when you're trying to win a national title.
So let me ask the people at home. Tell us, what do you think? Because there seems to be some varying opinions about the new spread way that people play football nowadays, and that you don't really need a really superior offensive defensive line. If you have a lot of skill players at your helm, do you think that's enough to win in modern day football, or do you agree with Adam and myself? Do the winning and the losing start in the trenches? So we're gonna jump into the next segment called the eye test. And the eye test is all about how we see each team going into the matchup and what do we see for each team going forward, just by the eye test, because the eye in the sky don't lie. It tells you the worth and the value of a team. And if you think that team is going to be something to be reckoned with to move forward in their season, or do you think that that team is going to be boo-boo by the end of the year? So let's talk about the Michigan Wolverines. I think the first two games were more of a sample size of what you're going to get from Michigan this year. Do I think some mistakes will continue at different, paces throughout the season? Yes, because they're not perfect, and a lot of them read their own press clippings. I think so. JJ got 1,000 mics in his face every day he walks across campus, so it's hard not to kind of fall into the trappings a bit. But the eye in the sky showed that even without their head coach, those kids were hitting. Those kids were rocking and rolling. The cylinders were popping. I think they still had some things to figure out position-wise. But even with all of that going, they still put on a great show, even though they were, dealing in the cupcake bowls, as I like to call it, cupcake bowls, not playing really, really great competition, playing cupcakes, easy licks. What do you think about what's your eye test telling you about Michigan and Rutgers?
I'm not really worried. I think like you said, I think there's some stuff to figure out on offense, but from what you can tell, the offensive line I think is going to go forward, going to be good with Henderson where he's at. I think my eye test that I worry, and I think everybody's worried about right now, is Edwards. Like, where is he at? But I was thinking about this, and I didn't write it down, but I was going to in one of my episodes coming up. I think he's a traditionally slow starter, because I mean most of his yards he got last season were towards the end. I mean the Penn State game towards the I think that was lower. I mean second half type season, and then Ohio State, Purdue. So he made up a lot of his yards in those games. So maybe he's just a slow starter. And then all that extra pressure by calling himself out and saying that he's going to, comparing himself to the greats, which, hey, if that's how you need to be to get to the NFL and by all means, man, do what you need to do to be great. I'll never put anybody down for doing that, because to be one of the 1%, you got to believe you're one of the greats, So I just think maybe that, I mean, I'm curious. I test on the tight ends. I'm a little, I don't know. I was really hoping AJ Barner would be amazing, but Yeah, that seems to be a little bit more of a slow go than what I was hoping.
He looks to be pressing a little bit too. So
Yeah,
if you're
right?
saying that JJ was pressing, I think Barnhart is pressing a little bit also.
Yeah.
Just
And
a
then,
bit.
yeah, and then with Rutgers, I think they're going to be tough, but I think by mid third quarter we'll have it rolling. If we now with this goes with one caveat: if we don't throw with 3 interceptions and stuff like that, we do that again, we're in a dogfight to the end. Like this could be a double overtime game, like in the COVID year.
So I'm
I
glad
don't think it's going to happen.
I'm glad you brought up Barnhart because I think that in the end zone, and this is one of my hot takes also, I think that in the end zone, and we have some red zone issues, I think we need to take advantage of Barnhart's size.
Oh my God, yes.
And just kind of just give JJ a big target to just lob it up and play. Tell a 6'5" young man to go play basketball.
Oh, I mean, now we shouldn't judge everybody by the spring game, but if you saw him in that spring game, he was unstoppable in the red zone. Like he used his body well. That's why I was so excited about what Barner was going to bring to this team because he reminds me of a little bit slower Jeremy Shockey from Miami back in the day.
Wow, you took it back.
You know what I mean? Same body size. The way he uses his body is amazing. Like he knows how to block out. I mean, I really want him to do well. So let me throw this at you to see if you like this idea. In the red zone, my initial thought was, I don't know if you can stop this. If you do a 3 tight end set and then you put Edwards in the slot and then have Corum as the back. And I'm talking like 20 and in. I don't know with Loveland, Barner, and Hibner, but I think Hibner's hurt. But what I saw in that spring game, that kid had some wheels before he tripped himself. So you put those 3 big boys, have them do what crossing routes, jump because they can play the ball at the highest point. They're big. You're not going to be able to move them out of the way. If you need them to block, they can block. And then you put Edwards in the slot, and let's face it, that's where he's really effective. And then you put Corum in the back, and then if he looks like now he can catch the ball coming out of the backfield, man, that seems like to me a very productive form, like a set to be out in the red zone.
Yeah, I hope they. I was thinking more. I was on the same page. I was thinking more or less like if they come out in a pro look, and then you motion the tight ends out into a split look, and now you got Colston Loveland and Barner. Pick your poison. You gotta come on. Yeah. Fast death or the slow death. You got 2 big dudes that can high point the ball, play action, make it easy. Woo! And what Big Ten DB is gonna fight off a 6'5", 6'7" tight end? I mean,
right?
Just make it easy.
They're not skinny. These are big boys.
Yeah,
I mean they're 6'5", and I think the smallest one's like 250.
Yeah.
Man, that's not a small human right there. That is.
Yes, sir. They holding their own nuts for sure. Yeah. So so that's the eye test, man. Do you want to say anything about Rutgers? About the eye test?
Like I said, we kind of touched on it earlier. Eye tests are tough. I mean, they look tough. They look scrappy. If you let that kid hit you on the edge, you're going to pay for it. But other than that, to me, they still look like the 4th best team in the East. To me, I think they're better than Michigan State. I think they could give maybe Maryland a run for their money. Maryland falling down 14 points at the beginning of the last 2 games. I have not been that impressed with, but they've come back. So that'll be an interesting game if they play each other. But I think it's between Maryland and Rutgers right now to see who's the best 4th place team in the Big Ten East. So probably the 2nd best team in the West.
I seen that Maryland game versus Virginia, and Maryland looked like a good team.
Towards the end, right? I mean, they started clicking.
Maryland looked like a good team.
Yeah.
Talia is not man. Listen, if he was on Penn State, Penn State would be a problem.
Yeah, they would. Stamp
it. Send it off. They're a problem.
Yeah, dude. Could you imagine if he stayed at Alabama
instead
of? Yeah, dude. He's good. He's
Yeah,
good.
they're knocking. Then Milroe, I think Milroe's got some talent, but because my daughter's down at Bama, freshman, I think so. She's all she's living and dying. The campus is living and dying with the team right now, as they should in the fall. They got a lot to be proud of. But when you go down there, you see the 17 championships, 18 championships. It's all over town. It's all over town. It's all they got deals with every corporate entity in town. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous down there. It's cool. It's a cool little experience. You go down to Tuscaloosa, Birmingham, and you'll see the Alabama effect. But I think that Wimsatt is a baller. I think he's a player.
Okay.
I think he goes as his offensive line is able to protect him.
Yeah.
I don't see Michigan's defensive line having a problem with Rutgers' offensive line with that kind of zone, double team, that kind of scoop and second level they try to do with their offensive linemen. I don't see Michigan. That's kind of bread and butter for people like Chris Jenkins and Kenneth Grant, and I think that's kind of bread and butter for what they do. So we just have to be really sturdy in the A and the B gaps and the C gaps. I think this is that type of game with the kid Manungai. I think he's trying to get 3 every hit. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It'll be a challenge. The one thing I like, and the one trend I hope continues, and it happened last week as well, and the week before was third quarter. Michigan turns it on.
Right.
So I hope Michigan turns out to be and continues to be a great second half adjustment team, and then they just rock people to sleep in the second half.
I would love that. If we could just do what we did last season, you're right. I would love that.
Yeah.
I mean, I love us to just hop on Rutgers and beat the ever-loving piss out of them in just the beginning, make it much easier for us. But I don't think that's going to happen. But I mean, I would love to see Michigan finally get that. Like, we are going to take this league by storm. Yeah, we're going to choke you out. We're going to punt. We're just taking it from you. I would love to see that for Michigan.
Well, Coach Khaki Pants is back, and he's like, "Whoa, we're gonna slow it all the way down." Blake,
yeah, dude.
And the Don, get ready to get some work. Put the elbow pads on. Put that tape around them forearms, because we might get you 50 carries this week.
I hope something, man. We need to get that kid moving.
Just to kind of like censor the team. Give them some stability.
Yeah.
Give JJ some stability. Give him some eye targets on the play action.
Right.
Because of course, if you running it, 30 times a half. Did I say 30 times a half? If you run it 30 times and a half, some play action is going to develop. Some people are getting open. So I know Coach Khaki Pants is going to really want to settle everybody down. Like, settle down, children.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to run this rock. And if we get opportunities to throw the ball, we'll do that too.
Right.
JJ's going to be like, but wait a minute. He's like, nah, son. We're going to win this game in spades. And you might get 3 touchdowns on the ground.
I was going to say, man, you want more to say, don't throw 3 interceptions.
Yeah. You might get 3 touchdowns on the ground.
Yeah, right.
But let's move on to hot take, man. And we did a lot of that. We were hot boxing the entire time, but we'll continue right now, as it were. So the hot take inferences and questions that I have is, first of all, will Schiano's defenses give Michigan fits? Will his defensive schemes really take Michigan to the hill this time around? What do you think?
I think it's going to present a problem in the first, second quarter, but I think overall, I just, like you said, I think we're a great second half adjustment team. And especially if Rutgers is a poor third quarter team, they can't afford to have a bad third quarter against Michigan, because we'll put them in the ground and they won't see the fourth. I don't care how good they are in the fourth if they have a bad third against Michigan. Yeah,
like, they don't lose the game in the third quarter, Rutgers, but they do a lot of punting. They give that ball back. There was there's one stat where they went 9 punts in the third quarter against opposition. 9
that
points
against
in just 2 games. That's crazy.
You do that against Michigan, you're going to be down by like 3 touchdowns.
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah, because that's when our running game and everything starts clicking. So, and it did last week. We scored 17 points in the third quarter, so it's crazy.
Yeah.
So the next thing on our hot take is, if your defense is on the field all day and they're gassed, I don't know what type of scheme you're gonna have. That's gonna, if Rutgers is on the field and we're just running it. What good is a scheme if you're gassed all day?
True. Well, I mean, that's one thing you can afford for your defense is to be out on the field.
Yeah.
For long periods of time. And I'll be honest, man, with the new time, with the way they run the clock in the new games now, it's, man, we run that ball. It's going to be fourth quarter. We'll probably just end up winning 17-3, and we'll have the majority of the time of possession.
Yeah. Let's get back to hot takes. You brought this up. The game is won in the trenches, and if we apply our superior running game to the situation, we're on fire. And I think as much as JJ doesn't want, or JJ would rather connect the dots as much as possible, I think to kind of right the ship, he needs to give this game up to the running backs and then work off play action, work off the, crossing routes, the crossing schemes, the deep comebacks, the kind of high-low schemes that we run, and kind of get your yards that way rather than trying to throw bombs up and down the field. You know what I mean?
Well, I think we could use that, use Rutgers' aggressiveness against them, because they have 5 interceptions in these first 3 games. So they know how to create turnovers. So hit that run, use that play action, bring them up, and then just bomb it right over their head. Use their own aggressiveness against them.
Yeah, especially the Dixon kid that likes to take chances. He's a risk taker.
Right. Hey, so even better, man. Watch Roman. Wouldn't be shocked if Roman gets 1 or 2 big plays. You're looking at Roman at maybe like 5 receptions for over 100 yards in this one.
I think Colston Loveland might do some things.
Oh, I can see that.
They might release him up the seam off a play action. Nice. And those kids bite up, and then boom.
Oh, and he can do it. Talk about just throwing it up. That kid can high point the ball.
Mm-hmm. I think to give Barner some confidence too, they might have him do some similar things.
I hope so, man, because I'm a big supporter of that kid. I want to see him do well.
Yes, sir. I think he's a valuable transfer, like Wallace. And by the way, I want to make a correction.
Yeah.
In my last video, I called Josh Wallace Mike Wallace. And I was like, yo, I gotta correct that, man. So, I want to correct that, man. He is not Mike Wallace from CBS Evening News. He's not from 60 Minutes.
I was gonna say, man, that old white man's playing a great freaking quarterback. I'll tell you that.
Right. He's not the anchor man for 60 Minutes.
Right.
Look, he's not.
He was good. He ate so well.
Right. He ain't Mike Wallace. He's Josh Wallace, transfer from Massachusetts, and he's balling. I don't like the fact that he I don't know if they went in a bad zone read or something. He was trailing the kid a little bit in the last game. I don't know. When corners pride themselves on not getting beat.
Right.
So if you're running a cover 2 zone situation and you and the safety aren't communicating, that'll be a way that you will be looking like you're trailing. Because if you're in man or if you're in a press, that's your pride on the line as an athlete. You're not going to want to get beat. So they must have had a mix-up in the secondary for like half a second. And then, of course, Bowling Green went up to the top and tried to take advantage.
Well, yeah, I think it was so many new pieces in the backfield right now.
Right.
I think there's bound to be some type of communication problem, especially with Rob Moore not back there being the main. Him and Mikey are the 2 most vocal, I would assume, in the defensive backfield. So only having one of them out there, I can see where there could be some communication problems.
Yeah, absolutely. And Rod Moore has a knack for the football. He has a knack for seeing it before it happens. They say he's the most studied defensive player on the team. He basically can run the meetings. Is how they talk about him. So
I love it. Just like Ray Lewis said, man, you win and lose in that film room. Like he said, if Tom Brady's clicking 7 hours and you're only clicking 4, he's got you. It's over. You gotta be obsessed with that.
Yes, sir. And one of my hot takes is cohesion and chemistry. I think Michigan has a lot more cohesion and chemistry because a lot of these players have been around since the COVID years. They're using their COVID exemption year to play another year in like Blake Corum and Jenkins and all those guys. I think the team has a little more chemistry than Rutgers does, so they can rely on each other in a pinch. You know, I could see CJ and Roman talking in a huddle and be like, "Yo, if I do this, come right off and get open." You know, whereas other kids on other types of teams maybe they're trying to be perfect instead of just having chemistry to get it done.
Yeah, I can see that. Well, I mean, we're very senior. We're a very veteran team right now.
Yes.
So that makes me feel much better about even just the slow start, just with so much them knowing each other. And I think once you get the newer guys up to speed, I think mid-season. See, this is what's so funny. We might be doing the same thing that Ohio State always did a few years ago. Like every time they'd start off slow at the beginning of the year, and by mid-season towards the end, I mean, they're a well-oiled machine. I think that's kind of what we're going to be looking at this year. I think, we're gonna look a little slow, a little rusty, a little whatever, and then by mid-season, boy, we're going to be hammering teams.
Yeah, man. I think Blake with the NFL, Charles Harbaugh all in the news, JJ all in the news.
Oh yeah.
I mean that team has a lot of press on it. That Michigan as a team.
Yeah.
And when you're in that sort of a media, I guess paparazzi based situation, you read your own press clippings, and I think having an upstart team punch you in the mouth a little bit and kind of humble you a little bit, that's exactly what we needed to get back to earth, get back to business. Like, you got to run that route as fast as possible. No, if you're coming down, if you're in motion to make that duo block, man, make the goddamn block. Like, don't chicken wing it. Don't chicken wing it. Make the block. You know what I'm saying? And this maybe Blake won't get caught in the secondary now because he got a hole and he's just gonna fly through it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think that's important. And last but not least, we talked about Super Khakis and then JJ's line of scrimmage impact. I think JJ has to step up if he wants to be an NFL quarterback and he wants to show people that he can command an offense and he's cerebral behind it. I think they showed it in the first game very much. Second game was okay because they were split in halves. And then this last game, I don't know what JJ was doing. But
he got shook, man.
I think he was pressing. I think he was just trying to, get more than 3 on the board. I think he maybe was trying to press for 5 passing touchdowns. I don't know what he was trying to do. I would have liked to see him run that first interception that he had.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see him try to run that.
Me too.
Because the end zone was flooded with people. But if you look at the tape, the offensive and defensive line was at a stalemate.
Okay. So
if he could have just picked the hole and ran for a pylon, I think that would have. You might have had a different result.
Well, he's got the wheels to do it.
Got the wheels. Yep. So that was my take. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Well, no, sorry. I felt like watching JJ last week. It felt like he wanted to get the ball and like he had promised CJ, hey, I'll get you a touchdown this one. Hey, I'll get all these other people. I'll get you this or whatever. Because there was no reason to throw. Was it JJ or was it Tyler Morris? He threw when that second interception when Roman, he leads him a little couple yards over to the right. Roman's dancing in the end zone. It just didn't seem. Yeah, it didn't seem like, I don't know. It seemed like he wanted everybody to get involved with, hey, listen, throw it to the guy who's open. Like, ain't no 49er fan in the 80s ever give a crap who the third wide receiver was and if he ever got a touchdown. Throw it to John Taylor. Throw it to Jerry Rice. They're open. You abuse the hell out of them and let them get all the touchdowns. Who cares?
Right.
Let's just win this game and go home.
Right.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now, without further ado, let's get into some shit talking. Let's get into some shit talking on the Big House Breakdown. So JJ Panic, is it real? Is it not real? Is it real or is it Memorex? What we got? JJ Panic. Is the JJ Panic real?
Nah, I think
Joel Klatt is all over JJ. A lot of pundits all over JJ's performance. What do you think?
That's all they have to do is get over. I think for us, I don't think it's real. I think, or God, at least I hope it's not real, man. But
right.
I don't know. I see it as a blip. I don't know what was going on in his head. I think after that first one, it shook him a bit. And then, like you said, he pressed and he wanted to make up for it. And when you start making up, it's like quicksand. You know, it's like that scene in Replacements when Shane Falco's talking about being in quicksand. You know, you try to make up for the one and you just keep getting deeper and deeper and deeper and you keep screwing up more and more. And I think that's all that was.
Yes,
I don't think it's real.
I agree. And I think the way that you help him, and I don't know why and Michigan has this way of like holding on to plays because they think teams are going to scout them, and they will. But you know, you got the best offensive line, so who cares? So you know, now that they made this fix with Barnhart and Henderson, I think that's going to be the order that really has them clicking. That's what I think. We'll see this week. We'll see tomorrow morning, tomorrow at noon. But you know, I think that's the order. I don't think they need to panic. JJ is a talent.
Yeah.
Not only is a talent, but it seems like he really wants to make his coach proud.
Well, I'll also tell you, we'll find out if he's that guy because, you know, anytime a great player has a bad game, they learn from it, they press from it, they obsess about just getting better, and we'll see if he's that guy, you know?
I don't think they need to go to too many exotic things. They can almost make this like a fourth cupcake bowl if they want. They're gonna drive them crazy on both sides of the offensive defensive line. Michigan is gonna outmatch them. And I think that if they go ahead and keep it, you know, fundamental as far as gameplay and game calling is concerned, they don't have to do the 4 wides and the 5 wides and the super duper motions and you know, using the tight ends in all these super exotic ways. Maybe you do Donovan Edwards. Oh, here's a question I wanted to ask you. I'm sorry, I'm so scatterbrained.
Yeah, no, fine.
I want to get it on while I have you on. Is Wim Sat the same quarterback that played with them last year?
Yeah, he's the one that gave up those 2 pick sixes.
Oh,
or what? Yeah, was it 2 picks? I know he had 2 picks, but I didn't know if it was 2 picks or not.
And that was the start of the onslaught in the second half.
Yeah.
So if Will Johnson is playing this week, and he is, according to the forecast, that could be a thing.
That's gonna be nice. I can't wait to see what he does.
That could be a thing. He might be looking at that number 2 saying, oh boy, I can't throw there. Well, and he throw to the other one and the other one pick you off. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, and he's already just a 51% thrower. So already 1 out of 2 ain't going to be good. So you never know. Like I like our odds in that area.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So the next hot take, so the next shit talking moment that we have or point is the love-hate for Prime's Colorado Buffs. What's your take on that, man? Everybody loves to hate Prime and everything that he's doing in college football right now. What do you think?
I love what he's doing, but the thing that worries me is that they are pumping him up so much, and you get all the hate that comes with the pump up. One loss, and I mean the classic example could be this week at Oregon. Oregon, in my opinion, is a better team, but let's say they choke, something happens, and Colorado loses by 3 touchdowns. What's the media? Is the media going to automatically turn on Prime and be like, well, see, this is look at how he talks this, look how he does this, blah, blah, blah. You know, they're so quick to build you up, but you screw up once and they love to burn you down even faster. So
Right.
I get worried because I like what he's doing. I love the fact that he started off at like Little League working with these kids. You know, the way he talks about how he wants everyone on his team to be better men and to do this and to dude, and you should be very confident if you're good at what you do. Like, I don't see any problem with any of that. I just get worried that the love will drop if he loses one game, and then that hate will just take over. And to me, I think it's just ridiculous in that part of it.
Do you think that the coaches and the landscape of college football, I'm talking about like administration, right?
Yeah.
And media, do you think they don't like his rock star persona as a coach?
I think because college football is so steeped in tradition, I think a lot of these old heads hate that. I think they really hate it. I think they love the stoic, like figurehead, like Joe Pa or what the head coach from Florida State, you know, guys like that.
Bobby Bowden.
Yeah, thank you, Bobby Bowden. You know, Nick Saban, that kind of thing. I think they love that kind of stuff, right?
Lou Holtz.
They hate the guy who's like, "Hey, I'm bringing Louis. Get the hell," you know what I mean? Like, get the hell out. We're changing things. I think they hate that. I think the old heads hate everything about what's going on with college football right now. NIL, transfer portal, everything. Right. I think they hate it all. So, and I think what I think is going to happen is he's going to become the face of the new look of college football, like the NIL, the transfer portal, because all that stuff is happening currently with CU. And I think that that's going to put it all on him, and that's going to drive misguided hate because it's not going to be towards him. It's just going to be the fact they don't like college football's changing.
Right. No, I agree. And the craziness about it is because the areas that feed the programs, like I was just telling you about Alabama and how everything in Alabama is about the football team and about the lore of the histrionics behind Alabama.
Right.
That regional thing is not a thing because you're bringing in almost what would amount to like a free agent presence.
Oh yeah.
Into the fold. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, but that Colorado team that had a lot of tradition in football needed a shot in the arm, though.
Oh God, I grew up in Denver, so I've been watching them since the Eric Bieniemy days.
Yes, sir. Tony Rice, yes.
Yeah, man. I mean, Alfred, all of it. Dude, I loved Colorado football, and so you're right. We definitely needed something. But I'll be honest though. Coming from Denver, I know I can say this. We may have the worst bandwagon jumping fans in the history of sports. Like, there's only one true team that Colorado truly loves, no matter how good or how bad they are, and that is the Denver Broncos. Outside of that, if you're good, they'll love you. As soon as you have a bad season, they don't know who you are.
So it's a pro town.
Absolute pro town, but even college, like, they'll love Colorado. Watch. Let's say something happens and Deion gets a better job or whatever. Let's just say he leaves, right? Just sake of a better argument. He leaves. Guarantee you that stadium goes back to not being filled the next season. They just don't care. They love the Denver Broncos, and that's it.
Well, I'm interested to see how creative they can be this week with Travis Hunter out. Because he was kind of an X factor.
Yeah.
His speed is ridiculous. His intangibles are ridiculous as an athlete. He kind of is that prime-esque type of kid. He's doing what Prime did at Florida State very much. And it'd be interesting who Deion can pluck from the reserves to give him an X factor this week.
You don't be surprised if that tight end has a big game again.
Right.
I don't even know his name, but that kid had a huge game against CSU. Don't be surprised. I mean, it wouldn't shock me.
Yes, sir. Well, let's get back to shit talking.
All right.
Will the real Florida State please stand up? They look like world beaters,
Oh,
and then now they looking like Marshall Mathers, not Slim Shady, but Marshall Mathers.
that's
What do you think?
Dude, I think they got exposed against a mobile quarterback. Like, I think they see that was so crazy because Jaden Daniels for LSU is mobile as well.
Mhm.
I don't know what they do have me befuddled. I'll be honest. I don't know what to think about them at this point because as soon as you think they've got something going on and they're like, damn, this might be the FSU of old, they come in barely and almost lose to Boston College. I don't know what to think of them right now.
Yeah.
But this week though, we'll see because they got Clemson and they can't mess around and be Marshall when they need Slim Shady. You know what I mean?
Right. So I think they gave themselves a reason to play this week.
Oh, for sure.
If not the opponent, last week's performance, that's enough juice to get you going. That's enough juice for the battery. So let's move on. Bama's quarterback musical chairs. I alluded a little bit to this earlier in the show. My baby's at Bama. Hey, Dej, going down to the Beyonce concert with mom. They're having a mother-daughter moment. Because she didn't have a senior trip or a graduation party or just some things that she's trying to reward her. But anyhow, so Milrose went to bed against Texas.
Right.
I think the kid has an absolute cannon for an arm. I think he's the prototypical kid that you want. Mm-hmm. I think from a height perspective, he's even a little better than the kid that just left, who's in the pros now. What's his name?
Oh my gosh.
Number 8.
I can think of him right now. I just can't think of his name.
The Heisman kid, the Heisman winner from Alabama. Let's just say that. Yeah, I forget his name that fast. But anyway.
Yeah, me too. So, not an Alabama guy, so it's hard for.
Could have won it twice. But anyway, and I think you gotta ride a kid like that, man. I think you gotta let him learn. I don't think you need to give up on him because if you do that, all you're gonna do is make him a prime candidate for the transfer portal.
Oh, for sure. Well,
and some other team that really needs a QB is gonna ride the kid and make him good and live through his errors just a bit. And in 2024, when a 2-loss team can still make the playoff, Alabama might have to turn around and play a Milrose.
Yeah. Well, you know what he kind of reminds me of? He kind of reminds me of Joe Milton.
Okay, a little bit. Okay.
With the strong arm, just can't control it yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So once you get him to rail that in, hey, I think the sky's the limit for this kid. I don't watch enough Alabama football to know. So I don't know if that's just pie in the sky type stuff or if he legit. One game against Texas, I don't know if to write him off against that. I mean, they kept him in the game for the most part. I don't know. I think they jumped the gun a little too soon on him.
I agree. And my daughter, I was watching the game at home. My daughter's in her dorm room because she didn't want to go to the game because she was like, if they lose, Dad, it's gonna be toilet paper and shaving cream wars on campus.
Dear Lord.
She's like, these people are going to lose their ever-loving mind if they lose.
Oh.
And she said when they lost, Milroe would have might as well had I don't know if you watch Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember when the queen had to take the walk of shame? They throwing shit at her.
Yeah. Dude.
It might as well have been the walk of shame for Milroe around campus.
I can see that.
Don't come out except to go to practice. Just stay in your room.
I can see that, dude. Going from so many great quarterbacks in a row,
right,
to that, I could see why they would be so. Yeah, Alabama, man, they're spoiled right now.
Yeah, for sure. All right, man. So we're gonna continue with the shit talk, and there we go. Pac-12, a feast for crows. Is the Pac-12 a feast for crows? What do you think? With all the conference realignment and
I can't, dude. It still shocks me that Pac-12 is going to be gone after this.
Right. You could have never told me that.
It's crazy, man. Pac-12 is a perfect example of a bunch of really good teams that feast off of each other.
Right.
And they screw each other's chances of going to the playoff because you get a USC who will beat like a Washington, but then lose to Oregon State, you know, or a Utah, Utah beats USC or loses UCLA. It's like a round robin for them this whole season, and they all just end up beating each other up, and then none of them are good enough because they get that key second loss, and then now they're looking in on the playoff, you know.
Very helter-skelter conference over the last 10 years.
For sure.
Yeah. I just, now I wasn't sure. Is Colorado in the Pac-12 or they're in? Okay.
Yeah, Pac-12. They're going back to so originally they were Big 8. They Big 12. Then they moved to the Pac-12, and now they're going back to the Big 12 at the end of this season.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, if Deion was going to stay a couple more years, they would have been a perfect candidate for expansion in the Big Ten.
Well,
perfect.
I mean, yeah, they're
I
right
would
there.
love to see Deion go to Iowa and give them fits. I would love it. That would be awesome. That would be awesome. I would be in for it. I would tune in.
Yeah.
For sure.
All those little fat-faced white kids just crying because Iowa got their ass kicked.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
I love it.
Yeah, man. So I think it's a feast for crows. I think the Pac-10 is a feast for crows. I think they're a symbol of the new capitalism that, at least TV capitalism, that's going on in college football. And did you see were you a part of the Disney thing when they blacked it out a couple weeks ago?
No, I didn't know. But when you're relying on your TV deal for your conference is going to be subscriptions to Prime or whatever it was, what are you doing? Like, that's not. You might as well just say, well, we're just going to disband because the commissioner can't do a good enough job to get a real TV contract for a classic conference.
Right.
I mean, USC, dude, UCLA, blows my mind that it's over.
Right. Washington.
Yeah.
They get Stanford. I mean, it's a lot of lore there, a lot of histrionics there.
All the great players that have come out of the Pac-12. Such a shame, man.
Yeah,
Such
man.
a shame.
Absolutely. I was hoping that we had a whole lot of other people on. I invited about 5 or 6 people that were fans of other teams. So I was hoping they would come on and they'd be able to talk shit. So we'll get to the team perspective later. Okay. Now let's talk about Tuck.
Oh, my favorite.
So I guess Tuck was coming.
Yeah,
literally.
He was begging, he was coming, he was doing all sorts of stuff.
Tuck was trying to come, literally.
Ooh, buddy, because I'll be honest with you, I can't stand Michigan State. I think they're a garbage fan base. I think they're a garbage school. The only reason why they were ever good, in my opinion, was because Michigan made the mistake of hiring Rich Rod and then following that up with Brady Hope, Fred Flintstone, the college football.
Fred Flintstone, hilarious.
Because we did that, dude. That's the only reason why they were good, is because we were bad. I mean, ask any fan of Michigan State. Just name one time when Michigan was good that they were good. It's never been a thing. Not for other than a shot in the dark 1 season or 2. That's it.
Yeah. He was getting some recruits now. I'm not going to say he couldn't recruit. So
oh no, he can recruit.
Because now that he's gone, we're looking at 4 or 5 of their recruits.
Yeah.
And we might get 2 or 3 of them before it's all over. If we're able to keep the ship steady, we might get 2 or 3 of them. I'd like to get that receiver, that 6'4" receiver that they got. I'd love to bring him in there. Marsh.
That would make it.
I think Marsh is
make it sweet.
Man. Yeah. So, they got a nice little offensive lineman, like nice little pineapple kid playing offensive line that might be great for us. So that's the thing. Tuck, my thing on Tuck is, I'm glad he got the opportunity. I think they laded him with the heavy contract. I think that was always a thing. The $90 million was a little heavy.
Heavy.
They spreaded it out, but it was still heavy. it was still heavy for an unproven dude. You didn't even make it to the college football playoff, but you get 90 mil, man. Harbaugh couldn't even get a contract settled, but you get 90 mil.
Dude, they jumped the gun, man. They jumped.
Yeah, that's a little shady to me, you know.
Dude,
Michigan's athletic department got to do a little better, but you know, Tucker's cool. You know, he had those kids playing for him, though. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
he had those kids playing. You know,
he had them believe in something.
Say what you want, but he had those kids playing, and that's really all you can ask for. Is that with all the distractions, like you mentioned earlier, for 18 to a 23-year-old to have, if you can get them to have some cohesion and play, that's worth a little bit.
Oh, true. I'll give him that. I mean, but
and if we're keeping it 1,000, there's no coach with any sort of real tenure in the country. Oh, you frozen? Hold on a second.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can hear you, so we can still go. We'll let it catch.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I even have the little pod that's supposed to like reinforce your signal, and it's still cracking. Okay, I don't know what that's about. Anyhow, so you're there, right? You can hear me, right?
Oh yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, good. So, you know, I think that even when what was the point I was trying to make? We were talking about Tuck, and we were talking about
well, you said something about you said something about 1,000, and I didn't know where you were going. If it was
I was just saying to keep it real about Tuck. Oh, that's what I was saying. You're not gonna be like a Joe Pa or a Bo Schembechler or Gary Moeller and have the run of the campus and be there forever and a day and not have a couple of contested dealings socially.
Oh, true.
You're gonna run into somebody trying to be a secretary of your football team, willing to do whatever. You're gonna run into a booster trying to do whatever. And you're gonna run into some social situations. And when that type of stuff comes out, I think somebody had it in for them.
Oh, I don't doubt it at all. I mean,
that sounds like what's on my radar. Is that somebody had it out and they were gonna prove him, put him in hot water over. Now, did they think that this was gonna have him get fired? No, but they fired him. But it's crazy, man. It's crazy.
True. I think once you sign once you get signed for that much money,
right?
You will have to. So let's say you're going to live your life and you're going to do whatever. Like, I mean, hey, I am no one to bag on someone's life choices at all. Like I say, dude, I am a day walking douchebag. I get it. Like I have done some douchey things in my life, so I get all of that. And I don't know how I'd act if I had $90 million, but like at least you have to be so aware of who you're trying to whack it to on the phone or to whatever that that stuff has to be like down deep under the cover. Can't nothing ever come out, and when it was someone of her background, even if it was consensual, the university had everything they wanted to get rid of it. Especially in this day and age, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, wow, that was something.
Yeah, man. So that was Tuck, and and it might turn into you thought the preseason was a fire sale. Now, oh my gosh, Michigan State, man, come get your 5-star athlete out of Michigan State.
What do you think they're going to do against Maryland?
I don't know, man. Isn't D'Antonio coaching them now?
I think he's involved with them somehow, but I can't remember. They gave it to he was a DB coach for a while. I can't remember his name, but he's the official guy. I think D'Antonio is just the guy helping out for right now. Now, maybe if this guy doesn't do well, they find a way to put D'Antonio in. But I mean, even D'Antonio has his jaded past with sexual harassment and stuff with his players. His players were accused of sexual assault or whatever when he was there. So it's Michigan State's been like snake bitten or something when it comes to that stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Hey, Adam, do me a favor. I'm gonna put you backstage for just a
Sure.
quick second, and I'm gonna try to reload the page.
Sure.
So if I bump you out by accident, just come right back on.
You got it.
All right, give me 1 sec. Okay, nothing's responding. Okay, we're getting some response now. Yeah, I'm just gonna reload. So just come back. Just let me see. Yeah, because my full recording. Can you still hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Let's just finish it this way, okay?
Okay. Sure.
Because I'm not quite sure what's happening. This doesn't usually happen, and my apologies for it. I hope it catches up in a moment. None of my instruments are working backstage. But let's just get into these week 4 pick'ems. I can't put it on the screen, so I'll just announce it as we go through it. So we got Georgia UAB. That's kind of a gimme. What's your thoughts?
Just like you said, I think they're gonna pound them into submission, and they'll have their backups in by mid-third quarter.
Yeah, and I think they should. I think they should take the hand away from that young quarterback and let the skill position people do what they do.
Oh, for sure.
And
I mean, you have Brock Bowers, one of the best tight ends in the game. You need it.
Yeah, and then the running back, what was his name? Williams or Washington, one of the two.
I think it's Washington.
Washington, yeah. Just let the playmakers play.
Yeah, I mean,
Michigan,
they have like 35 stars on that team.
Right. So number 2, Michigan Rutgers. We talked ad nauseum about that game. We're going for Michigan. Michigan has got to right the ship from last week.
Yeah.
Texas Baylor.
Ooh. Now, see, to me, this is a game where Baylor can jump up and bite them in the butt, because Baylor looked bad in the first game of the season, came back and have looked decent over the last 2, and Baylor always. Living out here in Austin, I've seen plenty of Texas football, and Baylor always plays Texas tough. So, and then Texas, dude, they went, 10-10 going into the fourth quarter with Wyoming. I think this is a scary game for Texas, even though I still think they'll win it in the end.
Yeah, I think the talent level, skill-wise, is comparable between Texas and Baylor.
Yeah.
I think where they differ is similar to Michigan and Rutgers. The offensive defensive lines are a little bit better.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then, eventually it's a war of attrition, that late third quarter, and you gassed. What you going to do? All right, now let's talk about the game everybody wants to see. Florida State Clemson.
Ooh.
I think Clemson, to save its season, is going to give Florida State all it can handle.
Oh, yeah. I think, well, like I said, we're going to find out if they're Marshall Mathers or if they're Slim Shady, because Clemson's no joke. And I mean, just because they seem to be kind of taking a step back from where they used to be does not mean that they're not going to – they could beat Florida State by 3 touchdowns. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where is it at? Do we know?
It's at Clemson.
Ooh.
Right. In that pit, yes, sir.
Man.
With
You know
those
what?
fans,
Because of that, I'm going to go Clemson, just because they haven't fallen off that much, and it's at home, and they're going to want to prove to the college football world that they aren't washed up like everybody's been saying since they looked so poorly the first game out.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. And what we got next? USC, Arizona State.
Ooh, see, so I spent like over 10 years living in Arizona. So ASU takes this game very, very seriously.
Okay.
Even though USC doesn't really look at the Sun Devils as a rival, Arizona State looks at this as a rivalry game. I still think USC is going to beat them by 20, though. I don't think it's going to be close. I love ASU. They mean well. they're a bit of an enigma to me because their campus is beautiful. They have some of the hottest women you'll ever see on earth. They are located in one of the more fun areas of Arizona to live in Tempe. So the fact that they can't put together a great football team has always shocked me. But I think USC is just 3 touchdowns better.
Will Arizona State expose the fact that USC needs a running game?
I don't think so. I really do. I think it might be a game for about a quarter. Arizona's not that good this year. Arizona State's just not that good this year.
Oh, okay. Now the game.
Yeah.
Zero State, as I like to call them, versus Notre Dame. And for what it's worth, man, I think Notre Dame needs to come back to promise in college football. I think college football will be the better for it.
Right.
If they come back to prominence and they come back to, infamy and in their former glory, they regain a little luster that they used to have. And I just want them to beat Zero State, beat them jokers, send them home packing, make them wish that they were still playing quarterback carousel. So I'm going for Notre Dame here on the passion win. I like the quarterback though. I think the quarterback has the goods to get it done. What do you think?
Oh, for sure. I think I have an episode where I titled it "Could Ohio State lose 4 games this year?" And this is one of them. This is the one game that I point to as almost, in my opinion, because I was never sold on McCord to begin with. So I think this could be the game that gives the blueprint for how to really take it to Ohio State, because Notre Dame does a lot of things that Michigan does. We're kind of mirror images of one another. So I would love to see. I can't wait for this game. This is my favorite game of the week.
Yeah, and I think it's going to expose the fact that Ohio State's offensive line may not be as good as everyone is, extolling. And then also it is going to expose, especially if Notre Dame leans on the run game, some of the issues with Ohio State's defensive tackle situation. Because what they're doing right now is they're playing the transfer kid, and that's a lot to ask of a transfer kid to come from. I forget where he came from, Mississippi State, or do you remember what team the transfer kid came in from?
What? No, man, I can't.
From Zero State. They're playing a transfer at defensive tackle.
I can't remember his name. Yeah, I know who you're talking about. It might be Mississippi State. I'm not sure though, but
some other team, and I think it might have been a Big 12 team.
Well, I'm still not sold on Jim Knowles as a defensive guy. I mean, he got all this credit but he coached in the Big 12. I mean, that was like offensive central. If you only allowed 35 points in a game, you were considered a great defense in the Big 12. And then also Ohio State, didn't they lose both of their tackles and maybe their center to the NFL?
Yes, they did.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. And to be honest, doesn't the first 2 games, especially since McCord really wasn't feeling it yet, I would say Ohio State looked like a poor man's version of 2021 Michigan, where they were trying to run it a lot, rely on their defense, and hope that their quarterback didn't lose the game for them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this is going to be an interesting game. And to be quite honest, Notre Dame was 1 quarterback away from beating Ohio State last year. And now that they have that guy, I don't see how they lose this one. I think it's close. Now listen, would I be shocked if Ohio wins? No. But I think Notre Dame's going to win this one, and by 10 at least.
Yeah, Notre Dame gotta have a couple strike fast type of moments in the game.
Yeah,
and I don't know who they have playing wide receiver for them. I remember last year they were throwing to a lot of backs and tight ends to stay in their game, and that probably was their Achilles, is because they couldn't stretch the field as much as they wanted to, and Ohio State could. You know what I mean?
True. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, man. So let's move on, man. Penn State versus Iowa. Now this is super interesting.
Hell yeah, dude.
Super
one-
interesting.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, so it's a matchup of, does Drew Iowa live up to the hype, and can McNamara be competitive against a really competitive Penn State team? I think Penn State might be a bit of a paper tiger, in my opinion, because I didn't like what I was seeing last week against Illinois. I watched a little bit of that game, and up until the half, Illinois was giving it to them.
Bro, the Illinois quarterback was giving the game away, and like 4 of the worst interceptions I've ever seen.
Right, I'm talking about like the overall team, the defense.
Yeah,
they were hanging in there for about a half, and then they just began. It just left them. They just they gave up a couple of easy ones off turnovers, and boom.
Yeah, well, I mean, I do. I'm not sold on Aller yet, to be quite honest. I mean, and that running game looks good, but it hasn't looked fantastic yet. And Iowa is a very opportunistic defense, so they love to score. I mean, they probably scored more touchdowns last season than Iowa's offense did. And I really wanted to not dislike Cade, and I liked Cade, and I appreciate everything he did for us while he was here. But the way he's handled himself since he's left has kind of soured me a bit. But the one thing he's very good at is not putting his team in a position to lose. Like if he was on that Illinois team last week, Illinois would have beat Penn State in my opinion. So I think you're going to see Iowa kind of dismantle Penn State, and I think Iowa wins by at least 7 points.
Was DeVito a senior last year? The quarterback.
Yeah, he's in the NFL right now.
No, I know. I'm saying.
Oh, my bad.
No, you're good. I was just wondering if he was a senior or did he?
Yeah, he was. He was a transfer in from Syracuse, I believe, and he was a senior.
That's right. Yeah, you're right. Right.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably had that COVID exemption, so if he wanted to stay, he probably could have. I don't know. I mean, I'm guessing at this point, but yeah, I would say that's where it was at.
All right, so let's do the next one. Washington, Cal. I think Washington has a little too much firepower for Cal.
Oh, for sure. Michael Penix is going to tear him up.
Yeah, he's got a laser beam, so I think he knows he's very confident with what he's doing. So
he should be.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was going to say he should be, man. You're right. He looks confident. He plays confident. I'm impressed, man. I go figure that he was recruited and played for Indiana. I would have never guessed someone that good would have been an Indiana Hoosier.
Yes, sir. And lastly, Oregon versus Colorado. Love this matchup. I'm going to try to watch it. Yeah. I don't know if the Michigan game will be over by that point. I hope so. I hope we'll have like a 50 burger on the board so I don't have to keep watching it and I can turn and get the beginning of this because I'm all for it. 1 second.
Sure.
Okay, because something else is going on. What is happening? Okay. I think I just got control of my internet again. Yay.
Oh, there we are.
Hey, we're back.
Hell
so, for all the fans that were watching, all the people, because we get a lot of people in Mob Crush and D Live. So I apologize for the non-motion still pictures, but we tried to give it to you as best we could, even though, and you were looking at Mike Wallace, not Josh Wallace. So, so that was the joke of the day. But we were talking about the college football week 4 picks.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the Colorado-Oregon game. A lot of sauce in this game. A lot of heat in this game. A lot of, I think Prime is playing chess with the Oregon coach, talking about his personal. I think he's trying to get him to overcoach or undercoach or something that will give them a little bit of a leg up in the X's and O's department. What's your thought about the Oregon-Colorado matchup?
Yeah, man, I like that idea. I mean, he's going to have to do everything he can.
Yeah.
Just because I really, just because I'm from Colorado and I like Prime, I would love to see Colorado go in and pull this one out. I would love to see that. They don't stop the run very well, and they had a hard time with tight ends and running the seam against Colorado State. I don't know if they have enough firepower at this point in time defensively to stop Oregon. Now, offensively, I think they have plenty. I think just the way Shador's playing, all that, I think they're right up there. I think they need to improve the running game some, which if you go one-dimensional against Oregon, that could end up potentially hurting you. But my hometown heart wants Colorado to win, but I just don't think they got enough right now to beat Oregon. I think Oregon really shows that they're top. What are they, top 10 right now?
Oregon?
Yeah.
Hold on, let me put it up because they put this thing on here. They put
top 10, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what I was thinking, and I always think like this as a football coach, as a ball coach.
Yeah.
If I'm going up against a team that I know I have some energy, some get up in my skill players, and we could put on we have a boxer's chance, right?
Oh yeah.
Try to get a lift out of my special teams.
Oh.
A punt return, a kick return, shorten the field, that sort of thing. If they could do that, and of course turnovers always kill. So if the Colorado defense at some point or the special teams can give them a great field position, that's another way to help the cause of Prime walking out of there with a victory. And you know what? It only takes a field goal.
True, that's true.
You can win ugly.
Yeah, man, it's true. Pull them into can you get into an air it out with them? Maybe. I mean,
yeah. I think that's the formula. You got to get into a shootout.
Yeah, because it worked that way against Colorado State. They made Colorado State kind of play the game they wanted to, and at the end it worked for them. I think you're going to have to. You're going to, like you said, you're going to have to hope special teams. Like look at Bowling Green when they did those little super high kicks in the air. It made us fumble twice.
Right.
So you never know, man. Like you're right. The special teams can play huge. I mean, I don't know how good Oregon's field goal kicker is, but he misses one. That could change the whole view of how this goes. Right.
It's definitely an intriguing matchup, man.
Yeah.
And now so who do you have? Who do you have in that?
I'm going to go old. I'm going to go against what my football mind says, and I'm going to go. I think Colorado's going to pull it out.
Ooh-wee.
Yeah, I know. Maybe it's just a Denver boy hoping for the best, but I'll tell you, I hope it's a hope. I think some things are just going to go in their favor. Maybe they're the TCU of this season. Who knows?
You know what? I was thinking that exact thing. But they got to stay healthy, and that's what a lot of the media pundits were saying. What are you going to do if you only got a 2 deep? What happens when somebody in your starters get hurt? Who do you put out?
You could probably say that about any team in college football right now. You know what I mean? Like Michigan, boy, if JJ goes down, we're screwed.
I like Orji, man. I think Orji
can
do some things, and I think we can create a package for Orji.
I would like to see it more than one play. You know what I mean? Like, I would love to see that.
I think we could create a package for Orji that could really – remember how we were bringing JJ in, the Cade Wheeler?
Yeah.
Love to see them do that with Orji.
Why not at this point?
And make it tactical.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, because the one thing that I always hate is that Michigan does one thing, and then it's just so obvious they're going to do that. Like the speed, like the end around with Eddie McDoom. You knew as soon as you saw Eddie McDoom out there was going to be an end around going to him. And then when you saw Jabril Peppers was in, it was going to be the Wildcat. I wish they would just do things like that and then go the opposite way with it. And you know what I mean? Like you see Orji in there, you're like, oh, he's going to run it, then he passes it or something. I mean, just something break up we know exactly what they're going to do when this kid comes into the game.
I would love to see him, Blake, and Donovan in the backfield doing some really, scripted stuff
Dude.
that would have Ohio State practicing that for the next 6 weeks.
Oh, you go back to like some Red Grange type stuff where it's all you can run, like
Harbaugh with the ladder thing. Like,
yeah, dude, that'd be wild. Dude, would be wild.
I would love to see that.
Yeah.
And him get a direct snap and use that 230 pounds to just get busy.
And and he's a load to take down.
Yes.
Actually, when he loads the shoulder, good luck.
Yes, even run like some old school option with him and Blake or something, man. I mean, dude, I would love it. I would just be maybe they got that in the kitty. Who knows?
Yeah,
I would love to see it. I would love to see it.
Harbaugh did say he was used incorrectly while he was gone, so maybe they got something planned for it. I mean, I hope.
Let's hope we get up big, and that way we can get him in.
Oh, that'd be sweet.
Let him put another 14 points on the board, just on the road. Just grind him out. You know what I mean?
I would love that. That'd be sweet.
Yeah, man. And then last but not least, let's get Donovan going, please.
Yeah.
For the love of Christmas, get Donovan going.
Seriously.
Seriously. Come on, that's the two-headed Hydra. You got to get him going.
Yeah, man, that would be great. I would love, and this is a perfect game for him to get going too.
It is, but a tough front seven to do it against.
Yeah, but that's the thing though; they're so aggressive. You can crack that 7, you're gone. And
yeah,
I think, this is a good team to get him really focused and really moving. And I, from our lips to God's ears, man, I hope that's what's happening.
Well, now that Coach Super Khakis is back. I think everybody is gonna be, it's like Santa Claus back in the shop.
Right.
The elves got to do what they need to do now. They can't be Keebler elves eating cookies and chilling. Santa's back. We got to work. We got to get some work done. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, it's gonna feel like Christmas Day, waking up and seeing them on the sideline. So I'm excited.
You got to get it done. The CEO is back in the building.
Yeah.
And he's gonna be on the field with you. Hey, son, tie them shoes.
Hell yeah.
Hey, son, tuck that jersey in.
Just seeing him smack the pads and stuff. You know what I mean? Smacking JJ in the head, smacking his pads, getting him all focused and ready. Yeah, man.
I say, hey, son, you got on thigh pads. What's going on? Go back in the locker room, put your thigh pads.
Yeah, cup check.
Yeah, you get on my nerves.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, man. We'll see. But hey, man. Hey, Adam, you are welcome on the Big House Breakdown whenever you like, man. You can come every week. Bring somebody else with you. I'm going to bring some other people. We're going to make this a party. And for myself and Adam, do you want to plug your show one more time?
Sure. Hey, man, you're more than welcome on my show. We'll work together to get like a show when you can come on and we'll talk it, do everything that we're going to do.
Yeah, let me know.
Yeah, but yeah, guys, you can catch me on all social media like X, Threads, Instagram, Facebook, all of it. Right there at the Michigan Football Rant. I'm on all podcasts. I mean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and you can check me on YouTube as well. So thank you. I really appreciated being on. It was awesome.
Yeah, man, you were a great guest. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of laughs. We actually just met. That's not what a lot of people don't know.
Yeah.
But that's the power of Michigan football. You know what I mean?
True,
that's awesome. That's awesome. So for myself and Adam at Michigan Football Rants, this is the Big House Breakdown. This has been a review and a preview of the Rutgers game coming on. I believe it's going to be on 12 o'clock tomorrow, right? Noon tomorrow. Get your popcorn ready. I think it's going to be a slobber knocker, one of those old school. I think both teams want to do the same thing pretty much. And because it'll be a prize fight in the first quarter. They'll be feeling each other out to see what they want to do.
Oh, for sure.
So it'll be a lot of running. Jab, 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 run, jab, 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 tight end pass. You know what I mean? It'll be vanilla football. and then they'll get into a third quarter, and then Michigan hopefully will pull away and handle their business. So this is the Big House Breakdown. Check us out every Friday when we come on and talk all things Michigan football. And for me to you, thanks for tuning in. And Adam, you got the last word.
Oh man, just thank you. Go Blue, and it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine.
It's always great. Who's got it better than us?
Nobody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So we're gonna say peace and walk with power from the Big House Breakdown. Check us out next week. It'll be real sweet. Peace.